There are only a few guns in the world that are instantly recognized purely just by their silhouette. Guns like the Deagle, AK-47, revolvers, MP5s, Uzis are all iconic and they each play their role in media. Which brings me to the new weapons added to Insurgency Sandstorm's new update, Operation Warlord.
Yeah, dude, I feel like the Vector's like insanely good. Oh, that guy's mad. Come on, dude, what are you doing?
So like I said in the intro, Insurgency Sandstorm's new update, Operation Warlord, just hit, and with it we got a bunch of new stuff. But today we're just going to talk about the two new weapons, the P90 for the Insurgents, and the Vector for security. I don't want to waste your time by giving you a history lesson about the gun's origin, so we'll just get stuck into the stats so you guys can decide if you think they're good or not. For me personally, I think they're okay. They won't be a part of the regular rotation or fucking meta. Fuck meta anyway. But they're definitely usable and they each have their strengths and weaknesses. But what I think is holding them back the most is that they're for the advisor class. More on that later, so stick around for that. Let's get stuck into the damage stats for now. Being SMGs, they're obviously not going to have insane damage. So within the weapon's hit scan range, the P90 is 3 shots to the chest with no armour, 3 shots with light armour also, and heavy armour was 4 shots. I then tested the damage again outside of the weapon's hit scan range to test the damage fall off. This will obviously become less and less the further away you are, but we'd be here forever if I had to test multiple ranges. So was there any change? There wasn't any change while not wearing armour, but light and heavy armour both absorbed 1 more shot each. Moving on to the limb tests, it was 7 shots to the leg, 9 to the foot, 4 to the arm and 5 to the hand. There are more hitboxes to your character, but the damage multipliers to them are basically the same with little to no difference. Taking a look at penetration, wood and metal behaves similar, both being around 3 to 4 shots to kill. But concrete was very inconsistent. Obviously it's going to greatly depend on the thickness of the wall, but it was still acting very weird. Some walls it wouldn't even get through at all despite them not even being that thick, and others it will continue to get through right up to about 60 meters and beyond. So I think just be careful as to which walls you try to wallbang someone on. You might find yourself giving away your position and getting yourself killed.
What?
Oh wow, 60.
That's still going through at 60, but what the fuck kind of wall is that? How's that any different to what we've been testing?
If we're strictly looking at comparing the SMGs in the game, I think the P90 is definitely one of the better ones. It has a 50 round magazine, decent fire rate, and the velocity is actually pretty good too, sitting at 715 meters a second, which brings its hit scan range to 71.5 meters. Its velocity mixed with its 50 round magazine and its low carry weight and compact design makes it a brilliant gun for CQB and clearing rooms. You'll be able to take out multiple enemies without needing to reload, but it definitely has its downsides. So what attachments are best suited on the P90? Well, I'll begin by saying that NWI are absolutely smoking crack if they think I'm going to spend 1 supply point on these garbage ass sights, dude.
Now, Brian, I understand we have some crack and we're going to smoke it right here in the studio. I don't know if you...
These sights are just terrible, man. You can't see shit while using them and they look about as good as Whoopi Goldberg's nudes.
Show me them cheeks, girl, and free my soul.
Save yourself the supply point and just use the iron sights. But if you want to take a sight, I'd probably just stick with a 1x of your choice. The P90 is already costing you 5 points, so I think a grip is entirely your choice. You might make the decision to sacrifice the grip for a couple flash grenades or something, but if you decide to take a grip, I'd recommend the aiming grip.
No way.
I don't really find the loading grip to be super useful on the P90 because you just won't be reloading as much. If you did decide to take those 2 flash grenades or whatever and have a spare point, the quick draw grip might be a good option so you can get your weapon out faster after throwing them. As for the barrel attachment, I think you should run the suppressor. Or if you struggle with recoil, grab the compensator to help combat that gnarly horizontal recoil. At the very least, you should always use a flash hider though. But I think the suppressor is the best bet here. I know it's super expensive, but if you're playing as an advisor, you may as well take full advantage of the ability to equip them. Treat the P90 like a flanker's gun. Use it to get around the enemy unnoticed, and the suppressor is a great tool for that. The Vector is an absolute monster of a gun in CQB, but much like the P90, it's very easily outclassed at ranges over 30 to 40 meters. But you're going to have a rough time trying to compete with this thing in close range because of its insane fire rate, and it actually has pretty decent damage. It takes 2 shots to the chest with no armour, light armour made no difference even outside of its hit scan range, and heavy armour made no difference either, sitting at 2 shots also. But it did soak up 1 extra bullet outside of the hit scan range. The limb tests came to 3 shots to the leg, 4 to the foot, 2 to the arm, and 3 to the hand. So it actually has decent damage, competing with a lot of the rifles in game. But obviously the Vector will lose damage drastically the further away you are, unlike most assault rifles. The penetration is as good as you could probably guess. Wood and metal behaved the same at 3 to 5 shots, and concrete was very hit or miss again. It wouldn't get through most surfaces unless you were right up against them. Even then it took around 10 shots to kill the target. So don't bother trying to pen someone through concrete, I think.
I was like 2 meters away and only just got through.
The Vector straight up turns people into mush within the blink of an eye. Sporting the highest fire rate in the game, you won't find yourself losing too many 1v1 fights in CQB. Pair that with its non-existent vertical recoil, you have yourself a CQB laser beam. Just like the P90, the Vector is very light and very compact, making it a brilliant gun to peak angles and doorways with. But the Vector has more weak points in my opinion. Although this gun absolutely destroys people at close range, you'll find yourself struggling to take out multiple people with 1 magazine. This thing just bleeds bullets, dude. You can mag dump within like 2 seconds or something ridiculous. I find myself constantly reloading or out of ammo when you go on a killing streak. That paired with the absurd horizontal recoil and negative vertical recoil can throw you off majorly at distances as short as 30 meters. Having to pull my mouse up instead of down to combat recoil just goes against every bit of muscle memory in my body. Its very low velocity doesn't help you in that situation either, with it only having a hit scan range of 28 meters. Although the insane fire rate does help combat that, so if you can control the recoil, you'll be able to challenge people at longer ranges and maybe win, or at least trade. One of my subscribers reminded me on stream the other day that the Vector actually has a pretty cool burst option, which is surprisingly good. It's a 2-round burst and it really helps with recoil control and ammo discipline, so I actually recommend giving that a go if you find yourself out of ammo all the time. Am I alive? As for attachments, I think you should absolutely equip the extender mag. I know it's only 5 extra rounds, but with how fast you burn through magazines, those 5 rounds can save your life. The compensator may actually be the play here also to help combat that gnarly horizontal recoil. But I think you should just use the suppressor instead and pick and choose which engagements you take. Sure, the compensator helps a lot, but that only helps with ranged kills, which you shouldn't be challenging anyway in my opinion. Play to the gun's strengths and you'll have a much better time. Just like the P90, use the Vector as a flanker's gun. Equip the suppressor, loading or aiming grip, extender mag, and have yourself some fun. A sight is optional, but in CQB the iron sights do just fine. If you choose to take a sidearm as well, then I'd recommend the quick draw grip on the Vector to help you change weapons faster. So let's answer that burning question. Should you use the Vector and P90? Yeah, of course you should. They're decent guns, but I think the main thing that will hold them back is that they're for the advisor class. And what I mean by that is, why would I choose the P90 over the Ace 52? The Ace is much more versatile and does a whole lot more damage. I'd even argue that the Ace would win against the P90 in most scenarios, simply due to the fact that the Ace can one-shot within 40 meters. Even with it having a much slower fire rate than the P90, I'm confident if I pull the trigger first, that I'm gonna win the fight. The same goes for the Vector. Why would I use that over the Tavor 7? The Tavor 7 is an incredibly underrated gun. It one-shots within 30 meters or so, its recoil is manageable, and it's a bullpup rifle, so it's nice and short. Even going up against the Vector in close range, I think if you and your opponent pull the trigger at the same time, chances are you guys are going to trade. And there is no way you're going to win a fight against the Tavor 7 at a distance. It has a much higher velocity and the recoil is much more manageable for long distance fights. Don't get me wrong man, the Vector and P90 are both very cool guns. I just think they would see a whole lot more use if they were for the Breacher class, because I'd use the P90 over the ASVAL and MP5, and I'd use the Vector over the Securities MP5 and maybe the Honey Badger. I don't know. I'll talk about that gun one day. That's all from me for now. See ya. Because that game was really fun to watch when you were streaming it. You were really good at it. I don't know how you don't get motion sickness playing it though. Dude, there's so many people here. Make up your mind. Where can they be? I don't know this point yet. I have like 2 bullets left.